First in a series here of How to Draw Graphs by Mr. Godoy. So we're going to start with the production possibilities curve. Possibilities. I know you just watch me spell things. Curve, also called the production possibilities frontier. Depends on where you're from, I suppose. All right, so the production possibilities curve looks at a couple things. It is the situation where it can be a country, and that's usually kind of the easiest way to think about it, that can only produce two goods. That's it. We don't want to produce more than two because then it just gets complicated and the math gets hard. This country is at full employment. That's kind of the trick question you'll get asked, like, ooh, what if they get rid of their unemployment? So no, we're already at full employment. We're also at kind of our full technology and using the resources we've got to the best of our abilities. We'll see why that's important in just a bit. So let's get on with the curve. So I'm just going to draw an X and a Y here. And the production possibilities curve is just this curve. And what this does, so let's say we can make robots on the y-axis here, or we can make cars on the x-axis here. So this gives us all the possibilities that we can produce. And it also shows us a couple other things. So if I, for example, decide I want to, here's 0 down here, I want to just produce robots. So this spot right here is just robots. And we can measure the distance from the origin here. So the distance from the origin for cars is 0, but robots, we get all these robots. That's a lot of robots. All right, I'm going to undo that. Or we could produce over here, and that spot right there is just cars. But more than likely, we're going to be somewhere along the curve. And what we see at each point along the curve is a trade-off that has to happen. So if I want to produce some cars and not produce just robots, I can move from here to here. And I'm going to gain, I go from 0 cars to this many cars. So I gain that many cars. But in order to do that, though, because I can't do all things all the time, I'm going to lose that many robots. So I'm going to lose a couple robots, but I'm going to gain a couple cars. And what we see here is we're going to see diminishing marginal returns because it's on this curve. Just that first little bit, we're going to send our best car makers out to go make cars, and we're going to get a lot and only lose a few robots. But as we kind of go further on, okay, here we're going to gain even more cars, but we're going to give up more robots. This is a bigger line than we had before. Okay, if I go to here, I'm only gaining a few cars at this point. But again, I'm still losing a lot of robots. And then if I go all the way down and I'm producing just cars, I only gain a couple of cars, but I'm going to lose all these robots. That's a lot. So diminishing marginal returns, they rear their ugly head wherever we go. All right, so undo myself out of here. And the same thing is true the opposite direction. So a couple other places to look at on the curve. Come on. If we're producing inside the curve, this is possible, but it's really inefficient. Nobody wants to be here. We are being wasteful in some way, shape, or form. Instead of robots and cars, our employees are all out taking long lunch breaks, or something happened maybe with our technology, right? We ran out of oil. Some other factors caused unemployment or something. So we're operating inside the curve. Outside the curve, this is fantastic. This is lots of robots and lots of cars. But this is impossible. And important to note, though, it's only impossible for now. It's impossible right this second. Someday it might be. We might be able to get there. Henry Ford invents the assembly line, and kaboom, we get a whole new production possibilities curve, and this whole thing can shift outward. Okay, so it's impossible. We just can't do it right now. All right, that's the first one.